Hello, here's my pickup, my 41 pickup, and what I've been doing today is replacing this rear cross piece. I'm not a woodworker, it won't take you more than a couple of minutes to work that out, and the old piece that was there just wasn't even connected to the chassis. So I thought, well, something's going to be better than nothing, and if I can make it nice and solid and take the stress off some of the other pieces, it'll be a bonus. And then what I'm going to do is use these pieces of pressure treated wood to just make some simple boards, because I think using plywood is a bad idea. Here's the plywood that was in it. As you can see, it's in very poor condition. I think that's just an absolutely rubbish idea, because it holds moisture. So I thought, I mean, I've got some repairs to do there, but I'm not going to do them now. And there, look. But I just wanted to replace the wood and replace that rear piece, because that was non-existent, and you know, just make it a bit better. Okay, back in a bit. I've just slathered that bit of all thread with grease, just in an attempt to try and protect it. See if I can just tap it through. I drilled those holes 13mm, which is just over ½ an inch. Oops, I don't know if I was pointing at that then, probably not. Anyway, I've just knocked that in. I've drilled the hole 13mm, that's a piece of 12mm threaded bar, and I've knocked it in and out a couple of times. I haven't shown you, but the bottom of the wood has to be carefully cut away to fit the shape of different shapes of the metal down there, and there's a couple of rivets that need to be clearanced. Maybe I'll just hook that one out and show you. I'll show you that in a minute. That's how I've shaped the wood underneath. Those two round holes on the outside are to clear the rivet heads. Then it's cut at a slight angle to clear that piece of metal that's coming down there at a slight angle, and then the holes in the middle hole is for the piece of rod to go through. There's the nut done up from underneath, nice and tight. I had to put the vice grips just on the very end of the thread above to stop the thread from turning. You know, if I had some decent coach bolts I could probably do it better, but I might see if I can get some actually, but for now this is going to have to do. Okay, you can see this frame's had a bit of butchery carried out on it in the past, but it is in actually pretty good condition, to be honest, so not too bad. Anyway, there's the studding in place, but I lied. I just went and bought some coach bolts. They weren't very expensive. There's 5 long ones that will do for there, and 10 smaller ones, shorter ones, that will take the place of those which were in over there. So that all needs some sort of a repair, but the bolts were just not, it hadn't even got nuts on them, so I can replace those middle 4 with these. I'll cut them down to length, and I will put coach bolts in there. These ones will go in there. Be quiet, silly dog. Anyway, so yes, a little bit more progress to make. Well, I think that's better. Big strong coach bolts through there, so that's really pretty firm now around the back end. there's only a couple of screws there, but I put like a piece of angle iron across underneath to sort of just strengthen it a bit, to spread the load from here out. So I think that's not too bad. Just going to put the bolts in there now. It's not very good, is it? But at least the weight will be taken from the wood through to the metal, through to the frame, and I'll have to deal with repairing that when I repair the bed more completely at a later date. This is a 3/8. This is a 10mm. The head's quite a bit bigger, so the head won't fit down in that recess in the wood. Luckily I've got a lathe, so I'm just going to skim the heads down a little bit. So there we have it. This isn't quite the final result, but all the reinforcement was put in place down below. I replaced the bolts in that piece further forward, and there's 4 long lengths there, sawn in half. So I've got 8 boards there, 8 6-inch boards, and the outer ones have been trimmed down. So I haven't screwed anything down. I've got to put a proper support at the front, because there's a bit missing there, so it's not supported properly. But I'm going to pack up for today now, and I'll put that piece across, and then I'll let them kind of weather in. They are treated boards, and they're quite thick actually. Hang on. You know, they are a decent thickness, so that's what I've used anyway. So I mean the boards cost just over £40. The piece of wood for the back was a £5, and I spent a £5 on coach bolts, so for 50 quid, not a bad job really, and it looks a lot better than that. Not to mention the back of it wasn't even supported properly, so now you can really, you know, you push and pull on here now, and there's no flex between the bed and the body. Before you could do this and the bed would just flex. Now everything moves together, so really that's time and money well spent. Just need to tidy up now. Anyway, okay, thanks a lot then, bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers then. There's the coach bolts under there. I'll screw that piece of wood on top. I'll put the 10mm coach bolt there. That's nice and firm. That needs to be knocked down and welded there, but I'm not going to do that now. I've cut these boards, 8 of them, 78 inches each, and the idea is that they will just go there. That one will go there. I've got to put a piece of wood right there at the end on top, and this one should, in theory, just, let me see if I can just drop it in. It's very hard trying to do everything one-handed. There you go. There you go. And you can see the thickness of the wood there, looks okay. I'm not a very good woodworker, look, you know. So they all fit in. Unfortunately, there's some of it. So they all go there like that. And they just fit along there. I can straighten them up a little bit, but what I thought I'd do is just leave them to either dry out or expand as they want to do, and then I might, either gaps will appear, which will be fine with me. I don't mind little gaps because it will allow water to drain through, or if they go tight I'll trim the outer ones down and create a gap. I wanted a gap at the edge, and little gaps, you know, just 1/8 of an inch, so that it doesn't trap water. If it rains I want it to just dry out naturally. I think that's the problem with the plywood, it just holds the moisture. Anyway, that's how it looks. Thank you for watching. Bye. Right, sorry about the shutdown. I shook this front end and it was all loose. So I've repurposed this fence post as a cross piece. I've made some little packers there, and I've put a coach bolt through there, through a hole there, which appears to be the intention because there's a square hole in this bracket. I imagine the coach bolt was supposed to go that way, but I can't get it in. This is the old cross piece cut down just to make a piece there, but to spread the load along the frame rail a little bit. I think there should be a piece running right the way from under the cab there, right the back to here, but you know, I don't know, I've got nothing to work from really. That's just a little packer, that kind of slots around that and just goes in there. Oh, doesn't look like that bit's doing anything. This is slightly twisted, but it is loading there. These are the same coach bolts I used at the back, so they just about reach through. Same that said, like I say, I'm no woodworker, and you can tell there's a great big chunk come out of the wood there, but it's still gonna serve the purpose. It'll still be plenty strong enough, and once all these bolts are tightened up properly. This bolt has a Whitworth thread on it, and I've just dropped the nut somewhere, so I'm gonna have to find the nut because I could only find 2 nuts, and that's it. I'll have to go and buy some metric coach bolts if I can't find the nut. Anyway, that's about it for now till I put all... Oh, I'm going to replace these ones here. Everything's really knocked about, but you know, it just is an old farm truck at the end of the day. So I'm going to replace these bolts, same as I did those there, and then all 4 attachment points will have been reworked then. It should be nice and strong. Okay, back in a bit. I just finished off this forward piece here with this piece here. This was salvaged from when I dismantled the garage. So this piece here was salvaged when I dismantled the garage, as well as those bolts actually, those bolts. So I'm just starting to lay the planks back in. I'm thinking I might just put a screw, one or 2 screws in each against there, and 2 screws in each against the new thing I've put in, and leave the others floating. That's what I'm thinking. Can always put more in at a later date, can't I? Okay, let's see how it looks when it's screwed down then. Here's the old metal cutting bandsaw. I've got the plank in there, chucked up to the right height, got it square to the jaw. I've changed the belt to the highest speed, got my temporarily rigged motor, and it's cutting away quite merrily. It needs a much coarser blade than this really for this job, but it's working okay, and it does give a nice finish. So you know, it ain't like I've got to knock hundreds of these out a day. Got to do 8 and I can take as long as I like. Okay, that's that. I lost quite a bit of footage when I was filming doing the bedwood, and I've just remove these planks to expose the cross members to get some dimensions for a chap-on forward barn. So basically, here's all the planks. They've been in a few days now and they are drying out, so the gaps are appearing, which is more or less what I wanted, because I wanted, if any water sits here, I want it to, you know, be able to drain through, not sit on it like it does with plywood, because this truck's parked outside all the time and it does rain here in England. So that's it basically. All these holes were drilled using a template. I just got a template with 2 holes and laid it over and plunked it on and drilled through, and so I'll just put these boards back in place. So I could end up doing everything one-handed. Tell you what, I'll put the camera on the tripod and I'll just screw them back down and call it job done. That's probably these cheap boards, the knocks keep falling out. Look, there's a hole there now. I remember now, I had to shorten one of the screws because it lifted it. And that was it. There you have it. Some boards cost very little in the scheme of things. I mean, these are treated boards. They won't rot. They've been pressure treated. I trimmed them all as level as I could. I used my bandsaw and they look, you know, they look okay. I had a job with this here. I couldn't get it on and off, and I noticed that the bed was bent there, so I put a piece of wood along here and G-clamped the bed, the tailgate to it, and fits okay now. This truck is heavily patinated, and this here is from the chains doing this and just swinging around. You can see where all the marks are. It's where the chains have done it. Anyway, you can't fake that. Bit of a farmer fix here, look. Somebody did that years ago, I would imagine. But anyway, there it is. There's the pickup. There's the new bedwood, just as a contrast. Here's what was in it, and I think you'll have to say that that is completely had it. God knows what it's harbouring there. Okay, right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking like. And leave a comment. I always appreciate when people leave a comment. Thanks a lot then. Bye. Anyway, there's the thank you, mate. Oi!